country more here. A lot of people love to eat watermelon, but most gardeners in a tropical or subtropical climate always believe that you can only plant watermelons in the spring for a summer harvest. But what if I told you that you can get a fall watermelon harvest in most tropical or subtropical climate, if not all, with minimal effort? For us here in Florida, if you want to get a fall watermelon harvest, you're going to want to start direct sowing those watermelon seed end of July through August. End of August is going to be your deadline thereabout. And I'm talking mostly Central and South Florida. North Florida will get a bit cooler way earlier than us. So for people in North Florida, maybe you're going to want to start that maybe about mid-July, early July, if you want to get a fall watermelon harvest. So we can stop looking at watermelons now as a summer crop and just start looking at them as a source of nutrients in the garden. We can get them in the summer and we can get them in the fall months. So almost year round if you're in a tropical or subtropical climate. So Florida gardeners, don't shy away from your watermelons in fall. You're going to want to choose a spot with at least 6 to 7 hours of direct sunlight and well-drained soil in the garden. Watermelons don't like to have wet feet, meaning you don't want to keep the roots consistently wet or moist. And because we're starting these seeds in the summer, because now it's still summer, watch out for things like cutworms, which are active during the summer to fall transition. So those are things that you're going to have to look out for, which you wouldn't have to look out for in the springtime. And your best watermelons for this time of year in Florida is going to be your Sugar Baby or your Jubilee. So those are going to be good for Florida this time of year. Also, I'm going to be trying out the Congo, but these are much larger watermelons and they're going to take a longer time to develop. So here is where I had the summer or the spring Sugar Babies, and I'm going to be removing them from this trellis and I'm going to be planting some more Sugar Babies now for the fall season. But I'm not going to be taking off everything here because we're still so hot. What I'm going to do, I'm going to allow the plant to start growing, start running, and then as we go along and this plant start to take over this trellis, then I'll remove those older leaf or the older plant that was there. So I'm just going in now and I'm going to be planting my watermelons about 12 to 18 inches apart. I know the internet gives us some different distance or spacing, but I normally tend to go for about 12 to 18 inches apart. I'm a small gardener, so I don't have all that space. So I'm just going to be doing it my way like this. We have some melons that didn't do well or they fell off. I'm just going to get rid of this because this has a lot of seeds in it. So maybe as soon as I start watering this area, we're going to be having melons popping up. So right here is going to be my fall watermelon patch, just as it was for the spring months. Here's where I had the pumpkins. Yesterday I went ahead and I removed everything from off this trellis. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put one watermelon plant right here for it to come up on this, and this will be shared between the watermelons and my cucumbers, which I'll be coming with cucumbers maybe about end of September thereabout. I think it's still too hot now for cucumbers. I could go ahead and try because this side of the house we still have some of these things that will help to shade the leaves from the older plants. So by the time those are established, then I can remove them. So it's like a cycle which I do. Whenever I'm planting things underneath the trellis, I'll allow the older leaves to stay there. Once they're established, then I'll expose them to full sun when they're strong enough. We have the Sugar Babies down there. I'm going to be putting the Crimson Sweet here because this is our next small or medium-sized watermelon, small watermelon. I'm going to be putting it right here. So the smaller watermelons, I have them grow on the trellis. And then the larger one, which is going to be the Congo, I'm going to have it run maybe over in the in-ground bed, and then I'll just control it because I don't want it to run all over the place. Fall is the time for my classic garden vegetables, my brassicas and those things, so I don't want it to be overrun with watermelon, but I still want to have a few watermelons throughout the fall months to enjoy. So as a gardener, don't just roam watermelon with summer alone, because I know if you go in the store during the fall months and you see watermelon, you will buy them. So why not just plant them if you're in a climate that allows you to. So here in Florida, we definitely can start our watermelons in July or August, and that's late July, as I've said before. And just remember, if you're in Central Florida or South Florida, don't be too worried about starting your watermelons now, because we don't get our first frost until about the 20th of December thereabout. So we're quite safe for most parts. Watermelons, they're going to take about 60 to 100 days to really produce on average. Some may take a little bit shorter, but most watermelon variety are going to take between 60 to 100 days. For this larger one that I have here, the Congo, it says 95 to 105 days, which still is going to have me in that sweet spot. So I'm still good with putting these things in the garden for the fall months. On this trellis right here where I'm going to be sharing cucumbers and watermelon, I just harvested the last of my pumpkins. So these ran me a while. I wish they could have took me back to the fall months, but still with pumpkins, you can go ahead and plant pumpkins now also for your fall season. It just depends on the variety. So if you're going to be putting in the Indian pumpkins, you will be getting pumpkin for fall easily. In this bed is where I had my summer watermelons. During the spring months, here got a lot of sunlight. Hence I had some of the larger ones. I think the Congos were in this bed. So for the fall month, because of the angle of the sun, I'll be moving over some more just for them to get at least 6 to 7 hours of sunlight. So I'm going to go over in this bed, and I'm just going to be putting 2 plants in this bed. So I'm going to be putting 2 seeds to a hole, and that's going to be 2 holes. And that's all I need for this area. Reason being, I just want to get maybe about 3 to 5 watermelons off each plant, and that'll be good for the fall months. So 1 there, 1 right here. And I don't have to mark it because I know that these Congos are the ones that I want to bear on the ground. The smaller ones do better on the trellis or going up high, but with the larger ones, some of the time if you get a heavy rain, they'll fall off and burst. So you don't want to lose your watermelons like that. With your watermelons, you don't have to start them in trays or containers and then go ahead and transplant them in the ground. You can direct sow these. For me, it is much easier to direct sow your watermelon seed, because with things like watermelons and cucumbers, even pumpkins, when you put them in starter containers, the roots can be a bit finicky, a bit delicate. So it can cause problems within the garden most of the time. So when you go ahead and you just direct sow those seeds, they'll come very strong, and it's just less burden on you, the gardener. But I'm not saying you can't put them in containers, start them, then put them out in the garden. Many gardeners practice that, and most gardeners do it because they're in some cold environment and they just want to get started ahead of time, so that as soon as their last frost date comes around, they can go ahead and start putting those seedlings in ground. But if you're in a subtropical climate and region, you can just put these in ground and they will just pop up like that. No hassle. You'll just see watermelon start growing. So it's quite easy. Watermelon is one of those simple ones that you can be eating it and just spit the seed somewhere in your yard. It grows and fruit. So that's going to be it from Country Morrow. Short one. God bless you all. See you in the next one. Happy gardening and cheers.